Hi there summoners, GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes. Tonight we are getting the reveal of the next set of special heroes, next seasonals dropping into the game in just a couple of days. Got the silhouette pulled up here from the Twitter tease. Faye did mention that these seasonals are going to be desert themed or desert tribe themed. So for that big husky mountain of a silhouette on the right there, I am definitely betting on Hawkeye for that guy. The muscle mass, the one long bang, kind of a dead ringer for him there. And for the left, well, it looks like a female figure. I think Sumiya certainly comes to mind. I think that's mostly because of the feather in the hair. I mean, technically, they could put a feather in anyone's hair, especially for a Desert Tribe themed seasonal banner, so I guess we'll just see, but Sumiya seems to be a pretty safe guess nonetheless. So we got the trailer pulled up here, we're going to watch it together raw for the first time, react to who gets revealed and all their snazzy costumes and everything, so let's get started. Alright, let's get this underway and see who we've got. Beyond the tree branches, in the attire of Nabata, special heroes to battle. Could we get another Agren? I'd be pretty happy if we got another Agren. Unrivaled Dawn. Is that Altina? Yeah, it is Altina. Wow, it's a really interesting style for her. I like it. Alright, so infantry axe unit, Arcadian axes, arms of the 3. A unique special, bulwark 4. Alright, so adding an axe unit for Altina to the mix, lower foes stats and slows activation of their specials. Yeah, so I didn't see. Did it do a whole, special rewind?
End of the road.
End of the road. She is dual-wielding, as she is known to do. Oh, Nimble Grace.
I fight.
So that's definitely it's Juno. Okay, so that was the silhouette. That's definitely not Sumiya. So that is going to be Juno. She is going to be a flying sword unit, nullifies the panic status on nearby enemies and can grant bonuses to their stats, can reduce damage taken too.
For the children.
For the children. Alright. And then, oh, okay, so showing the out-of-combat effects. Indomitable Will? Huh. Tormod. So infantry red tome unit, presumably going to be the 4-star focus unit of the banner. Yep, sure looks like it. A Nabata Beacon Plus. So does that mean that Hawkeye is going to be the duo? Can move through forests. Oh, I missed it. Okay. So it looks like that he's going to have some oh, that's pretty cool. That fire tornado. It's a pretty cool attack. So it looks like that he might have like an out-of-combat movement bonus or what have. Oh! Swarm Protectors, that is definitely Agren. Oh, absolutely beautiful. We got Agren and Louise. Okay, alright. I like what I'm seeing. She is going to be a blue archer too. So add some color diversity to Agren emblem. Sandglass Bow, pulse up blades for the C slot. Their weapon allows powerful area specials every turn. Yep, and that's kind of Agren's thing. So Hawkeye's going to be the freebie unit then, right? A Harmonized Skill grants Resonance, Blaze, Treachery, and Desperation to unit and allies from the same titles. That's a lot of good stuff. That's a lot of good stuff in there.
Are invincible.
Okay. Really beautiful eyes in the art for Agren. Love it. I want to take a closer look at the art, of course. There they go. Firing off that bow. Excellent! Nabata Shield, Paralog Story. So it does seem like Agren is going to be sort of the ambassador to Nabata. And then, of course, there is Hawkeye there with the spear, or lance, so he is going to be a blue lance unit. And yeah, alright, so we're getting 2 blues on the banner, or 2 reds. I'm colorblind, apparently. 2 reds on the banner, so Juno is going to be sharing a color with the 4-star special unit of the banner as well. The banner is going to start, Nabata Shield is going to start on the 18th of January and go for an entire month. Tormod is going to be the 4-star focus unit of the banner and is going to be sharing a color with Juno, and that does mean that colorless is going to be the odd color out, no focus units on colorless. The duo is going to be on blue. Okay, alright, and Altina on green. Okay, all right. So Nabata, of course, was on the table as far as the theming would go, the desert and everything. Hawkeye. We got the Hawkeye right, got the Sumiya wrong. It is in fact Juno, and they did in fact just put a feather in the hair, right? So as I kind of thought they might. I mean, again, I feel like I couldn't really tell 100% who was going to be on the left there. So yeah, very, very intriguing banner. I'm kind of hype. I'm kind of hype. Let's go ahead and let's take a closer look at the art and the characters. Let's start over with Altina over here. So here is Altina dual wielding those axes. They're kind of like tomahawks, which would make sense with the theming and everything. She is going to be an infantry axe unit, really ornate design. The jewels and the carvings on the axes themselves give it some semblance of a tribal look, as well as having some of the ornaments hanging off of them too, and the ribbons, the blue and the yellow glow coming off of her arms. Really, really nice. And the art style itself, I really dig it. It's definitely different for all of the Altinas that we've gotten so far. Really beautiful, clean line work as a whole. Beautiful violet hair, really nice shading on her skin and everything. The outfit itself, relatively abbreviated for the desert environment, right? It is going to be hot out there. But yeah, it has a lot of really lovely trappings and jewelry and accessories, from the earrings and the tassels and everything. I think it does capture the theming really, really well, and she looks great in the outfit. So Altina has Arcadian axes, 11 might, has a killer slaying effect, unit attacks twice on both player and enemy phase. A unit can counterattack regardless of foe's range, so built-in distant counter. At start of combat, if unit's HP is at least 25%, inflicts attack defense res minus X on foe during combat, where X is 20% of unit's res at start of combat, plus 5. All right, that's pretty good. So it's an in-combat debuff that is going to scale off of her res stat. And also, if foe's attack can trigger foe's special, and unit's res is greater than or equal to foe's res plus 5, inflict special cooldown count plus 1 on foe before foe's first attack during combat. Okay, so that is going to be the special rewind mechanic, so long as she has more res than her opponent plus 5. So all solid stuff. That is what an Altina unit would like to have. Brave effects on both phases, distant counter, killer slaying effect, debuff on the enemy stat line, and then of course the special cooldown reduction on the enemy as well, if foe's attack can trigger foe's special. So it doesn't rewind defensive specials, it rewinds specifically offensive specials. Arms of the Three. It's a 2 cooldown special, which of course means with the killer slaying effect of Arcadian axes, it's going to be a 1 cooldown special. When special triggers, boost damage by 40% of units' res and neutralizes foes, reduces damage by X%, effects from non-special skills. So it is going to have damage reduction nullification and 40% of units' res on a 1-turn cooldown. Yeah, that ain't bad. At start of combat, if unit special is ready and unit's res is greater than foe's res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by percentage equal to difference between stats times 3, max 30%. So that is very, very good. It's her own unique special, and just doing the 40% of units res on a 1-turn cooldown with the damage reduction nullification alone is pretty darn good. That's pretty darn good. But she also goes ahead and enjoys damage reduction built into the special, not even a part of the special proccing, just as long as it's ready, or would actually activate during combat. So at the 1-turn cooldown, that does mean that in most cases it will activate as well, so that's pretty darn good, up to 30% too. It's a nice little bonus and a cherry on top of the raw damage and the damage reduction nullification. Attack res finish 4, so that is of course going to allow her to do that much more damage with the Brave effect. Also, since so many of her abilities scale off of res, it makes sense to do that. And since she does seem to be special centric, activation and proccing of her special is kind of critical and central to her kit. That is going to synergize with the fact that she's going to get additional raw damage or true damage from the Finish 4 skill, in addition to a little health restoration in the process, which is quite nice. Attack defense Bulwark 4. Foes with range of 1 cannot move through spaces adjacent to unit, and foes with range of 2 cannot move through spaces within 2 spaces of unit. Does not affect foes with past skills. Inflicts attack defense minus 4 on foe and reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40% during combat. And restore 7 HP to unit after combat. So that kind of works perfectly and synergizes really, really well with Finish 4, giving her additional health restoration after combat, which is quite nice, giving a nice debuff on the enemy so that she does that much more damage, reduces their ability to do additional damage to her through the attack debuff on the enemy too, and then reducing damage in general, which will stack multiplicatively with the other damage reduction she enjoys from the Arms of the Three. And then Times Pulse 4, at the start of turn, if special cooldown count is at its max value, grant special cooldown count -1. And then after combat, if special cooldown count is at its max value, grant special cooldown count -1. So that does mean that Arms of the Three is always going to be charged and ready to rock, which does of course mean that the damage reduction effect of Arms of the Three is basically always going to be active, unless she herself is going to be going up against a unit that will do special rewind on her, which is possible as well. But I like how cohesive the kit is. It's not overly convoluted in what it does. I mean, what she's setting out to do is going to be powerful. She's going to be effective. She's going to, with the fact that her special, it's pretty cut and dry, but the things that it does, it just kind of cuts straight through a lot of the bull that's out there in terms of the damage reduction, allowing her to just do straight up additional damage, and then having damage reduction herself to enjoy. She's going to be a nice wall, have the distant counter built in, as well as the brave effect, the special proccing, all of that stuff, and she's going to be able to be self-sufficient as well, as far as the special proccing and the special charging through Times Pulse 4. So overall, nice kit, works in tandem and works really well, I think, in general for an Altina character as a kind of the archetype in the game. And yeah, she's gonna be scary. So next up, we've got Juno as a flying sword unit, a Pegasus rider, no doubt, and she does bring that Pegasus rider aesthetic here with the thigh-high boots, the short skirt, the pretty form-fitting outfit in general, but it has, again, the trappings of sort of the desert tribe look to it. She has sort of a ceremonial blade as her sword, it looks like, with a jewel embedded into the hilt, which looks really, really nice. You know, she certainly has these flashes of turquoise and gold strewn throughout the outfit, which really does connect and bridge the aesthetic to the Nabata tribe, and you have the tassels and the jewelry and the ornate elements and accessories to the outfit that gives it this sense of tribal pride. Really gives the outfit as a whole a really beautiful aesthetic. Juno herself looks gorgeous, lots of thigh exposed, the plunging neckline, very eye-catching as well. Absolutely lovely violet hair along with her purple eyes, and then the sash and the lining of the outfit too just really comes together very, very nicely. So Juno is going to be equipped with Blade of Sands. It's 16 might, has a killer slaying effect. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 space of an ally, grants a speed res +6, bonus doubler, and null panic to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants +5 to all stats to unit, neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units follow-up attacks, and deals damage equal to 20% of unit speed during combat. Okay, alright, so that is going to make her something of a good support unit in addition to hitting pretty darn hard herself. Being able to bestow upon her allies the combination of bonus doubler and null panic is a beautiful combination. That's going to allow her, you know, any panic effects on the enemy would have impacted the ability for bonus doubler to do anything, and so null panic really does help round that effect out to ensure the higher likelihood that bonus doubler is going to be pretty effective. And then the speed res +6, of course, activating that is going to be part and parcel, going to be doubled by the bonus doubler too, so that's really great. And then just having sort of an all-rounder great number of offensive effects, nullifying the enemy's ability to have guaranteed follow-up attacks, and nullifying anything that would prevent her follow-up attacks, just dealing true damage based around her speed, which does mean that she's going to be speedy and probably naturally double, and then the killer slaying effect as well. It's a range of really, really solid effects. Luna for the special, guard bearing 4 for the B slot, inflicts speed defense -4 on foe during combat, reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by X%, where during unit's first combat initiated by foe each turn, X equals 60, otherwise X equals 30. So getting some nice little damage reduction built in there. And then attack defense Oath 4 at start of combat. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack defense +6 and the following status effect to unit for 1 turn. Unit can move to a space adjacent to any ally within 2 spaces. If unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack defense +3 to unit during combat. And that, of course, is going to synergize pretty darn well with Blade of Sands, because she is going to effectively activate a +6 to all of her own stats, null panic, and bonus doubler on herself to ensure that she has all of these stat boosts to be able to hit that much harder. Okay, all right. So I'm liking it. I think it's a nice, synergistic, cohesive kit. Once again, it flows very well. Every element of the kit, I think, has a role in a lot of ways, and there's flexibility in playing her too. And the fact that she does have something of a support role really does increase her utility as a unit. I think in general, as just an offensive kit, she's going to hit hard, and she has a lot of effects to ensure that she does deal that damage. At the same time, it's not overwhelming. I think a lot of units that we've gotten recently have been like really dumb and brainless in terms of what they do, and Juno is not that. Alright, so we have Tormod, an infantry red tome unit. I have to admit that when his face first flashed across the screen and I didn't see anything else about him, I thought maybe it was an alt for Roy. Clearly not the case, so it is going to be Tormod, and he's going to be a red tome unit. So he has like the torch in his hand. I like it, and I like the animal fur trappings around his neck as well. He's got the bandana, and you've got the greens and the golds and the reds all kind of meshing together in his outfit, which I think works really well. Bearing that midriff, showing off those abs too, nice and toned there. And he's flashing a smile too, self-assured. Yeah, the overall look works really well. Gives him almost like a gladiator look, and then he's got the long flowing cloak behind him that is like duller in colors, so he can use it to kind of mask his appearance a little bit if he's out on the hunt. It does kind of give him a huntsman look too, right? I think that does kind of come through pretty cleanly. And then of course, you know, you have the beads and the tassels and the metal accessories and things kind of hanging off of his belt too. That again kind of sells the look as a whole. And you know, even the little feathers that are dangling off of the jewelry on his chest. Again, I think I think it works. So Tormod is going to be the 4-star focus unit of the banner, and it does show with his kit. I mean, even out of the gate, just not even looking at his weapon. His weapon might be the saving grace. So his weapon is it is inheritable, so it's not going to be an exclusive weapon to him. Nabata Beacon Plus, it is a red tome. 12 might, if at start of turn, if unit is within 2 space of an ally, grants unit cannot be slowed by terrain, does not apply to impassable terrain, and desperation to unit for 1 turn. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 space of an ally, grants +4 to all stats to unit during combat and deals damage equal to 10% of unit's attack. You know, as far as base inheritable weapons go, that ain't bad. That ain't bad. Having the ability to just bypass terrain is relatively rare. That's not like a super common ability to have, and it's going to be fun to play around with, especially on certain maps. Desperation as well, as an activated effect on the caster or the wielder, is quite nice too. And then the stat boost and the fixed damage that scales off of attack is pretty decent. I mean, it's not a bad weapon to have in your back pocket, depending on like what challenges you come across that may have some unfavorable map designs and layouts that are out there. But now that being said, I think the weapon lends itself to finesse and strategy in a climate and a paradigm of the game that is currently less about strategy and more about idiot-proof kits. But again, it's a weapon that you could do a lot worse than Nabata Beacon Plus, and I think it does yield some interesting and fun plays. Draconic Aura for the special, Speed Res Tempo 3, and Speed Res Gap 3 for the C slot. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I mean, both of those can be stepping stone skills, basically get you skill 1 through 3, so that you can just grab the skill 4. Even so, they're not the most incredible of skill trees, I would say, to work off of, but there is definitely some use there. As a whole, definitely, I think the most compelling part of his kit is his weapon. Yeah, so I think the weapon is interesting, at least. Alright, and we have this banner's duo, Agren and Louise. Infantry, blue archer. Gorgeous art, I have to say. I think they did a really great job in capturing both Louise and Agren. I love the outfits and their influence in general, with Louise with the pink, Agren with the red, and then they both share sort of this asymmetrical sling that's a little bit more neutral, a little bit more mundane in color, but has a beautiful patterning along the lining too, that gives it sort of this, again, this tribal look. You have the gold and the ornate colors in general. I do really like the nice little touches of cross-pollination in color. You have with Agren, she's wearing some pink leggings underneath her boots. Louise is wearing some red leggings. Agren is also wearing these beautiful amethyst earrings that sort of match Louise's eyes. Louise is wearing these red earrings that matches Agren's outfit too. The bold, stunning red color. Really bold, daring outfit with Agren too. Showing off the figure, exposed midriff, the thighs on display, the low plunging neckline too. The ensemble nicely hugging all of her curves from head to toe, however fitting nice and loose enough for also the cloak to be free flowing. It looks like Agren is also wielding a little dagger in her hand. It looks like they both have an accessory of golden feathers kind of peeking over their shoulders too. I'm not really 100% sure what that is, but looks really pretty. And I do like the juxtaposition of their poses. You know, you have Agren that's standing full, confident, pulling on the bowstring, you know, ready to get into battle, wielding the dagger there too. And then you have Louise a little bit more reserved, just kind of like waving shyly to the side there. And then of course you have Louise with the beautiful, soft, fair skin. Igrene has the spectacular dark tones and shading to her smooth skin as well. And then I must say, really striking eyes for both of them. Igrene in particular, both of them have really beautiful eyes in this art. I really like gemstones; they just shine brilliantly. And yeah, I think they did a great job on the art for this one. They look really fantastic. So Duo Igrene is going to have Sandglass Bow. It's 14 might, killer slaying effect, effective against flying foes, of course. At start of turn 1, grants special cooldown count -2. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants the following to unit and infantry and armored allies within 2 spaces. A unit cannot be slowed by terrain. Okay, does not apply to impassable terrain, and unit can move 1 extra space. Does not stack for 1 turn. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed +6 to unit during combat and deals damage equal to 15% of unit's attack. And also, when special triggers, deals damage equal to X% of unit speed, where X is unit's max special cooldown count times 10 plus 10. So in this case, Blazing Wind is a 4 cooldown special, times 10, 40, plus 10, 50. So you're getting 50% of unit speed as additional damage when special triggers, as an AoE special, so that is quite nice. And this is really in line with what you would expect with an Agren unit based around her original incarnation in the game. Really, it's centered around her special proccing and looping over and over and over again with the AoE special and dealing lots and lots of damage that way. The special cooldown count at the start of the turn 1 guarantees that. There is, of course, that interesting support utility to infantry and armored units, enhancing their mobility, giving them an additional movement tile. That's really great stuff. Selfishly, I would have loved to see something given, some sort of a bone thrown to flying units. I know, not everything needs to cater to my flying bias, but I'm just saying. I mean, there is an Agren out there that's a flyer, so if you wanted to use a Agren emblem, she's not getting anything out of those effects. But definitely a unique and fun ability to play around, and I do kind of like the flavor of the effect too, in terms of the theming for the banner, because you know, the desert being a harsh environment, the tribe being used to the harsh environment, so being able to kind of plow through different terrain that might be otherwise difficult to go through, I guess might be what they're going for. I think it's kind of nice. But yeah, so the true damage effect and then the bonus damage at the end, all scaling off of offensive stats, which is great. That means that she's going to have great base level attack and speed, which is what she wants. She's going to be dealing lots of damage, and when she procs that Blazing Wind, it's going to hit super hard. Flash Sparrow for the A slot is an interesting choice. It definitely fits with her being offensively based with +7 to attack and speed on initiation. But the +1 to special cooldown charge per attack against the enemy, I think in most cases she's going to be wanting to kill on that initiation. I don't think she wants to leave anybody alive. So I think in most cases, ideally, she's not even going to have that special cooldown charge +1. And even then, I think there might be a number of different A-slot skills that are offensively based that she could probably utilize a little bit better than Flash Sparrow. But it's still a good skill, nonetheless. Speed defense tempo 4, inflicts speed defense -4 on foe, neutralize effects that grant special cooldown charge +X to foe, or inflict special cooldown charge -X on unit, and reduces the percentage of foes' non-special reduced damage by X% skills by 50% during combat. Example, if a foe reduces damage by 45% skill, would reduce damage by 23% instead. So she is going to get some damage reduction with the tempo skill, which can be nice, especially if she's finishing off an enemy after an AoE blast. So the tempo skill could be nice in that regard. So it's okay. Once again, I think it's a pretty competitive slot. I think it's actually pretty flex. I think you could probably put other skills in there just fine, and she could rock them. Pulse Up Blades for the C slot. This is new. At start of turn, grants attack speed plus X to unit for 1 turn. X equals turn number times 2 max 6, and grants special cooldown count -1 to unit. Interesting. So we're seeing a new class of skills, Pulse Up, which is going to be similar to Haether, where effectively you get more bonuses as time passes, as more turns accumulate, up to a max. So in this case, the maximum is 6, which would be on turn 3. So I don't know. I feel like they could have gone a little bit harder with this one, because, I mean, the delay can be significant. I mean, waiting for turn 3 or turn 4 can make all the difference depending on what game mode you're talking about. In certain game modes, it doesn't make any difference, but in certain ones it will. Additionally, the activation of attack speed plus 6 is good, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's amazing. Like, I feel like she could probably rock some other C-slot skills that would actually be stronger for her overall and still get the attack speed plus 6 bonus just fine. Like, I don't think she's going to be hurting for it. The grant special cooldown count -1 to unit is critical for her kit. I mean, relatively critical, because that does give Blazing Wind a 0 turn cooldown on turn 1, right? The Killer Slaying effect brings it down to a 3 turn cooldown. She gets special cooldown count -2 from Sandglass Blow. That puts it at a 1 turn cooldown. And then Pulse Up Blades is going to put it at a 0 turn cooldown. So it'll be insta-charged on turn 1, which is very nice. But there are other skills that provide that as well. I think a lot of the unique effects of the duo are really kind of squarely built into the weapon, so the rest of it is a lot more flexible as long as it's kind of centered around being offensively based, like dealing a lot of damage, being able to eliminate or reduce the enemy's damage reduction, and then furthermore, ensuring that you get an additional special charge somewhere along the way. So as far as an AoE special chaining unit, I mean, they're going to work very well together to accomplish that. And the nullification of terrain effects also just really cool with the additional movement tile too. Absolutely wonderful attacking art too. You can admire the rubies along the bow, which is pretty nice. And then Agren is pulling the bowstring taut. A little bit more of a dynamic action pose with Agren here, and a frontal view, which is certainly eye candy abound. You have Louise here too. You get the back view of Louise, and as she's kind of like scoping out the enemy and holding the dagger up too. I like that she is wielding the dagger on the side. So yeah, they're looking fierce and they're looking absolutely exquisite. Rocking that damage, and then taking a look once again at the Harmonized Skill. So the Harmonized Skill grants Resonance Blades, Treachery, and Desperation to unit and allies from the same titles as unit. Short and sweet, but incredibly effective. This, of course, does mean with the Treachery skill that effectively makes her weapon a Blade Tome. Desperation effect means that she's going to be able to attack twice in a row, and of course, she's going to be able to naturally double in a lot of cases because of the high natural speed that she has. Resonance Blades is just an additional bonus to attack and speed that stacks with other activated buffs to attack and speed. So yeah, all in all, not the most glamorous, I would say, Harmonized Skill, but certainly effective. Just overall, just makes her do that much more damage and safely poke away at the enemy and just like finish them off after the really devastating AoE attack that they do. All right, so the 18th of January, Nabata's Shield is the next seasonal unit and the seasonal banner. I think that what they brought to the table here is some unique utility, some fun strategies, interesting play with some support capabilities with additional movement tiles and movement spaces, and providing support to different ally types. In that regard, I think it's really nice, and also having a new AoE special chainer with Agren, kind of bringing that back with the duo. I think it's really nice. Altina also fitting her archetype. And what I really like is they brought the units that have original versions and kind of differentiated them in a way that was still recognizable as far as their original archetypes, and I think that was really well done there. From an art perspective, I think all of the characters are beautiful. I think that they did a great job on the flavor of the theming and the representation of the characters and the art line work and the colors and everything. The designs work incredibly well. I think it's a beautiful set of characters, and they're going to be powerful. I think the duo in particular is going to be really strong. Altina as well is going to be very strong. Juno is straddling the line of support a little bit more, and so while she's going to be she's going to be strong, she's going to hit hard. It's more in the unique utility that she brings, and that alone some people might value that higher. than just the general kind of archetype damage output that the duo and that Altina brings. And then as far as Tormod goes, he is the 4-star focus unit of the banner, and it shows his kit is relatively unremarkable, but I will say that, you know, his weapon is quite interesting. I think as far as inheritable weapons goes, it brings some interesting and unique value and utility. So that alone has something going for it. And of course, Tormod is going to be a relatively easy merge project as the 4-star focus unit of the banner. I think that generally speaking, if there was a color to avoid on the banner, other than colorless, of course, because there's no focus unit on colorless, it would probably be red. Again, just because, once again, the 4-star focus unit, Juno is, I think, strong, but not really that groundbreaking. And quite frankly, I don't think the banner as a whole is terribly groundbreaking, other than, I think, the support elements that the duo brings. And again, looking at everything through the lens of last year's Christmas banner kind of warps things. But at the same time, I think this is a great set of characters, like the theming, like the art, and I think that it does bring a lot of value, at least from a strategic perspective, I'll just say. As far as me personally, I would absolutely love to get the Agren. Like, I really would. Frankly, I would love to get Altina, Juno, and Agren. Like, but Igrene in particular, that duo, I would absolutely adore having. Realistically, I'm in orb saving mode. That's no secret. I got kind of destroyed during Christmas last year when I was pulling for Legendary Camilla, and so my orb stash is still not great. So I don't know. I may end up waiting for the double special hero banner whenever that rolls around instead. To be perfectly honest, I'm not really sure. I'm probably going to make a decision at the last minute. Again, we have a whole month, so I don't really have to. I don't have to pull right away, but we'll see. But anyway, let me know in the comments below if you're excited for the banner, if you're excited for the theming, if you guessed the characters at the start, and if you are summoning, who you're going to be summoning for. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please feel free to leave us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching, for taking time out of your day to spend with us. We really do appreciate it. And until next time, let's protect those skies.